Aflag and Praise TV proudly present Right in Focus with Aflag.
Hello and good evening, viewers. Welcome to Right in Focus with Aflag. I'm your girl, Miss Lupe. Today we are delving into a very critical issue that affects women economic empowerment, and that is land rights for women. Over the years, we've realized that legal frameworks have evolved, ensuring that women are able to have access to land. Women are able to own and possess land. But there are still a lot of cultural barriers that affect land ownership as far as women are concerned. And this has actually led to a lot of delay as far as women economic empowerment is concerned. To help me discuss this, I have two people that are experts, one lawyer and one traditional expert as far as land ownership is concerned. I have with me lawyer Nuella Gbire, who is a legal expert specializing in land rights, family law, insurance, and general practice. She's going to help us shed more light. She's a mother and a wife. Welcome, lawyer Nuella.
Thank you.
Also, we have with me Mr. Steve Lee Dimuyako, who, like I stated earlier, is a traditional land ownership expert. As far as traditional land ownership is concerned, he understands some of the reasons why the challenge still persists. Also, he's very well traveled. He's an international expert, traveled to several countries, and he understands, like I said, because he's a land expert, even when he travels outside, he's able to see what is being practiced outside, and he comes down to try to put that into a traditional system. Welcome, Mr. Steve Dimuyako.
Thank you, Ms. Nick.
Now, before we delve in, let me say a special thank you to our sponsors, Oriental Resort Hotel, for giving us this beautiful place to host this event. As you can see, this is a garden where you can host all your parties, weddings, children parties, and then for the accommodation, you can come here for your honeymoon and every stay or getaway that you want to have away from the stress. The place to be is Oriental Resort Hotel, located at North Legon. Welcome once again, my guest.
Thank you.
So yes, let's dive in straight into it. Lawyer Nuella, I want you to give us the, a complete overview, okay, of the legal framework as far as land ownership is concerned here in Ghana.
So when you're talking about land ownership in Ghana, the legal framework consists of both customary law and statutory law.
Okay.
So customary law, because if you look at the ownership of land, about 70% or more of the lands in Ghana are entrusted in stools and families. So you have the chiefs, you have family heads playing a role. And this role is according to customary practices. Okay. And this is in line with, the applicable laws in Ghana. When you look at Article 11, custom is part of the laws of the country. Yes, so when you are looking at customary law, that governs land ownership. Then we are looking at the customary practices that enable stools and families to be custodians of lands in Ghana. Okay. Now, we also look at the statutory law. So we are looking at, first of all, the Constitution, which is the fundamental law of the land. So the Constitution of Ghana provides or has certain provisions with regards to land ownership. So if you look at the whole of Chapter 21 of the 1992 Constitution, it talks about land ownership and natural resources. So it goes ahead to talk about public lands, stool lands, family lands, and then also establishes the Lands Commission that regulates lands in Ghana. Okay. All right.
So moving from there, do you think there are specific laws that protect women's rights to land here in Ghana?
Well, I wouldn't say specific laws on women's rights, but then there are a lot of statutes that women can fall on to protect their rights in land. So the Land Act 2020 gives provisions that protects women's rights in land ownership, their interests in terms of accessibility, in terms of land transfer. So, for instance, the Lands Act has a non-discrimination in land ownership provision. So it acknowledges the fact that decisions regarding land ownership, access, or interest in land could be based on traditional practices or customs. However, such customs should not be discriminatory.
Okay.
So when a decision is made with regards to interest in land, and there is discrimination based on gender, then such a decision will be void. All right. The same Land Act talks about protection of interest in lands for persons, and when it talks of persons, it's both men and women. So when we are looking at the protection of interest in land, it's not only men that the Act seeks to protect; it protects women as well.
Okay.
Now, there's a specific provision that has to do with transfer of interest in land when it comes to marriage couple. You know, so the Act sort of prohibits or requires a spouse who seeks to transfer an interest in land to another person to seek the consent of the other spouse once that property was jointly acquired. You know, so
I can see that, of course, from the little you said, it shows that there's actually some level of protection for women as far as land right is concerned. Now, moving to Mr. Lee, from your perspective, how do cultural norms in the northern part of Ghana impact women's ability to own or inherit land?
Thank you, Ms. Lepe. Land issue has been a great challenge in the northern region due to our norms and our culture and the ties we have with land. Traditionally, before the constitution, which Lawyer Noel is talking about, we inherited land through even spiritual mysticism and other things.
Wow.
Because some of the lands we have, northern region, for example, has some gods ties, ancestral ties, which has inheritance, which is being passed on to only the male aspect of inheritance in the family. So it becomes a challenge because on such lands, it simply means that women cannot even pour libation to pacify the gods because the lands around has ancestral ties and spiritual ties that we believe in and the mysteries behind it. So there are places, maybe if, because let me say a woman menstruates, you cannot even cross this access. So how do you even own the land? So, even with these laws, Lawyer Noel is talking about, we still have people who practice this aspect of mystery and ancestral ties with land. So it prohibits women from owning lands. Wow. And due to the type of inheritance we have even in the northern region, which is paternal inheritance, if a woman owns land right now, that means that when she goes to marry, someday her husband will come back to claim the land. And apart from marriage, her children from the other side may also come to claim their land because a woman may marry from one family and may lose the husband. Yeah. She may go to a different family and remarry again. So if she gives us at this particular place and a different place, these other people will claim that this was our mother's land. So due to these traditional beliefs and myths, it becomes very difficult for women.
But don't you think it's the same as a man who has children with multiple women, okay, and has a land? All the children from the other multiple women will also come back to say that they are claiming the land. Or
yes,
it's the same.
But this is the case. Even if the woman doesn't give birth at the other side, her brothers or the siblings from the other side can come one day and claim the land that this land belongs to our sister.
So even if she's giving interest in the land, she can't pass on the interest?
No, she can't pass on the interest.
So this is where the interstate succession law comes in. I'm bringing this one.
Okay, so yes, your next question was actually to ask that despite all this legal protection, the cultural practices, as we know, okay, they still take precedence from what Lee has told us. So I was going to ask you, what are some of the practices, okay, or what are some of the laws that we have in place that can, mitigate some of these challenges?
Very well. So I was bringing the interstate succession law. When you look at our custom, or most customs, when it comes to land inheritance, when a father dies in a patrilineal system, and then you are going to inherit the land, the focus is always on the male figures in the house. So the sons are the ones that usually should be entitled to the land. And that's why we have something like the interstate succession law. This is a law that was passed in 1985. And you can't believe it that even as at now, we have cases in court where male figures in the family are still not understanding why a daughter should be entitled to land, you know. But then these things are there in our laws, and it's good that we know that as a child, whether you are a male child or a female child, when your parent is deceased and there is immovable property, land, building, or immovable property of whatever sort, you are entitled to it as much as every other child is entitled to such land. Now, affirmative action, you know, has come in. You see, most of these things have gone on for long because the people at the helm of affairs have always been men. So you go to management of stool land. Who are those managing it? The chiefs. Yeah. Management of skin land. Yeah. It is the chiefs that are managing it. So if they are making decisions, though the laws are there, they are likely to skew their decisions towards the males. You know, you get to families. Most of the time when we talk of family heads, it's the fathers. Yeah. The men that are the family heads, they are the elders of the family. So if decisions with regards to family land is to be made, then it will be in favor of the male. Now we have the Affirmative Action Act of 2024. We are hoping that people will take opportunity in such acts and insist on women being part of the decision making, such that the rights that are guaranteed under these acts, we can enforce them.
Yes. So, Lee, help us. You have international experience. You've traveled to a lot of places. Do you think there are lessons that you've learned or you've seen from other countries, particularly in African countries, that you think Ghana can, you know, adopt to help the situation of women inheriting lands?
Yeah, in other jurisdictions, unlike Ghana, especially in the northern region, I can say from where I come from, even Kumundi, where I come from. And until we remove the mystical and ancestral heritage, that mystical and ancestral heritage from land inheritance. Because even here in Accra, before a road is being constructed, they call on the traditional chiefs to come and perform libation. So if women are not allowed to even perform libation, how do they own land? So land should not be tied to spiritism, mystic, and other things. We should see land as property, just a natural resource that everybody has a right to. Yeah. But in other jurisdictions, land is just part of the natural resources which every person has the right to. But here we are, our lands are being tied to some kind of spiritism, mystic, ancestral ties, and other things. So it becomes very difficult. Ghana can really do better because we understand this, but we use that in families and in certain traditions to bully women. It's a deliberate, I think it's a very deliberate thing men and traditionalists are doing in our various settings, just because we don't want to give the chance to women to step up. We believe that the girl child should be behind. Even some of the proverbs we do give about tuya, actually, dime kind of thing makes it look as if
no, like, do you understand that proverb? No, you don't. I know your tree is very terrible.
The proverbs we even use around women will tell you that we always want women to be behind us. Yeah. How can you say about tuya, actually, dime? So you, the woman, relax. So Ghana can do better if we begin to take action about the affirmation action bill affirmative bill that
it's an act now.
It's an act
yes,
now. It's an act
now.
It's no longer there.
Talking about.
So for me, when it comes to land, it's not just, I don't see it just as a property. I see it as a tool to economic freedom. And for me, as a woman who is more passionate about seeing a lot of women liberated economically, I think it's a great disservice to see that women do not have that absolute. Of course, we are not talking about the urban areas. For the urban areas, we see women, they have their money, they purchase their land, yes, they have interest and everything. But when you go to the rural areas,
even in the urban areas, you still have to get a man to be leading you in everything.
Some areas, not
some
all.
Areas, because
not all. Because Nana can buy a land right now without leading.
You have to go to the traditionalists. They'll ask you, who did you come with? You have to get
No, I refuse. That I will not accept.
No, the traditional, they'll tell you a man should lead you to the palace. If you are going to the palace.
No, have you bought a land before?
A man leads you to the
palace. And
when
you did, were you led by, did your husband lead you?
Not necessarily your
husband.
Let
her answer. Keep quiet. Let her answer.
There were times that my husband wasn't within the jurisdiction and I had to acquire land. So you see, what he's saying is not far off. It's still there. But we have made some progress. And it falls down on women as certain rights.
Yeah.
When it still even comes to the family setting, a lot of women don't accept their rights to own land.
Yeah.
A lot of women don't, do not even, they find it difficult to ask their husbands to ensure that their names are part of land documents that they contributed to acquire. Because they are afraid that they will be tagged as women that are just focused on properties. So it starts.
And what is actually wrong with that?
It starts from
a woman who is just interested in property. What is actually wrong with that?
And I want to quickly add on that, with women asserting their rights, women ensuring that their interest in land is protected. You see, our customary system or practice, or our traditional beliefs or practice in terms of roles of men and women is such that we view the men, or the men are seen or accepted to be the head of the family. And then there is this practice of the responsibilities of acquiring land or major economic decisions being said to be of the man. Then women are said to be the ones in charge of managing the home.
Yeah.
So you see a man and a woman both earning, then it's more like the man is focused on acquiring land, building on the land, and taking steps when it comes to the property. Then the woman uses her money to take care of the home. Buy groceries, take care of kids' clothing, manage the affairs of the home.
It's as if a woman's money cannot be used to acquire property.
Yes. So, and because women are made to believe that it's wrong for them to accept rights in land, they are not bothered about whose name is in the land's documents. So there are several cases where a woman contributes to the house financially, greatly. But when it comes to divorce, or when it comes to an issue or death, it comes to the fact that the land is in the name of the man. And it's assumed or presumed that the land was acquired solely for the man, and the woman has no interest.
So, okay, so moving from there, how does women's inability, to access land or to own land affect them economically?
It greatly affects them economically. First of all, let's look at their limitation to agricultural productivity. Mm-hmm. So before you can have access to family land, stool land, to invest in large-scale agriculture, you will need a man to front it for you. Yeah. Or you need the men to decide that you actually deserve to have access to that land. So if there's no security of land, most women will not want to put in long-term investments in agriculture. In the rural areas, when such a woman has to go to male figures for them to allocate lands to them, male figures who may not appreciate that a woman should be in agriculture, if they will even give her land, it will not be a fertile land, or the size of the land compared to male counterparts will be smaller. Yeah. So a woman who is serious about investing in agriculture will be limited. Yeah. And then economic opportunities are affected. Now, it comes to collaterals. When you are going for financial assistance, an asset you can use for collateral is land. So if a woman's access to such a land is limited, then it means that even getting financial assistance to venture into other economic areas will be difficult. So you look at it and it might just look like it's land, but it transcends to several areas that women will want to be empowered in.
And just to add on to that, so sometimes when there are issues and then there is divorce, or there are abuses in the marriage, they want to move, they can't move because economically they are not empowered enough to move. So they are stuck in the marriage, and then when you listen to them, oh, I don't have this, I can't go, the children. So yes, it goes a long way to actually affect women.
So internationally, with Southern Africa, just Southern Africa, a place like Swaziland or Eswatini, there are two types of land ownership. We have the Swaziland and the chiefdom lands, which belong to the traditional rulers. The land that belongs to the traditional rulers are mainly for the women. It's only women that can acquire land from the chiefdom. So when you are going,
it sounds good, but doesn't it sound discriminatory?
When you are going for land as a man, you need a woman to lead you to acquire such land.
So when you are going for the other,
any other person can go for the Swazi state lands. Foreigners can purchase. Indigenous, male or female. But the reserved lands, they have reserved land, which are proper reserved lands, which are not far, like we have maybe places like far in Ghana where it's I don't even need this land.
Like
very good lands and well-positioned lands like East Legon and satellite cities in Swaziland belong to the women.
Oh, wow.
So when you need a land
is there
as
a reason
a man,
behind this?
Yes, because of divorce and the rate at which men disappear from their wives. Whoa. The men can just run away and just leave, or can just sack the woman. And because of polygamy, they practice polygamy. Okay. So if you, the man, wants to marry a second wife, the woman can decide that, okay, no, this property we have belongs to me because my family actually went to the chiefdom and acquired the land.
Oh.
So when you are leaving,
it in a way protects women.
It protects women. So you have to leave. You, the man, has to leave the home for the woman and the children to stay. So there's these laws to protect their women. Because it's not like they are very close to South Africa, and because I think they did that through the apartheid. When they were struggling with the whites in South Africa, they realized that if they don't do that to protect the women, most of the men will even sell their lands to foreigners, and before they realize the women had been left vulnerable. So a place like Eswatini, their system is very good, which helps women. So I think Ghana can adopt such a thing that deliberately that has to protect women. Even if it has to be some percentage, some kind of percentage of land in the family that will be reserved for women to purchase. Yeah, I think that would have been.
Hold that. Let's go on a quick commercial break. Thank you to our sponsors, Oriental Resort Hotel, for hosting us and giving us this beautiful garden to host this event. We will be back.
This show is brought to you by Aflag, Praise TV, and Oriental Resort Hotel.
Hello and welcome back. Before we went on the commercial break, we were discussing land ownership as far as women are concerned in Ghana. And then right before the commercial break, we had Mr. Lee telling us some examples from African countries which Ghana can adapt. So yes, over to you. In what ways, you mentioned that maybe the government can look at, or the chiefs and the families can look at allocating about 40% of land, which is solely reserved for women to acquire. How practical do you think that can be?
It's like Laura Noel mentioned about agriculture. If you look at America right now, we have women owning land about 388 hectares of land, or co-own in America, which women are doing great farming. So if you look at even women who own land in America, 388 hectares of land being owned by women, it's more than even Ghanaian male and female farmers all put together. So in terms of
America is bigger than Ghana.
If you look at it, Ghana will stand, and our traditional leaders will stand to even benefit a lot, because women take care of property even far better than men, and they will put it to good use. A woman will not take land and just dispose the land or sell it off. A woman will take of the next generation. Yeah. So I think if Ghana adopt from our traditional leaders, we don't even need a state policy. We have to look at from our own traditions. Exactly, our traditional leaders. Well, we can, for there's no traditional home that we don't have women. And women are even dominating in our traditional homes. Exactly. So it has to be a conscientized thing that we have to take away. Especially, I'm still saying this again, because if you go to Islam, it's the same. Even Christianity is the same. From Moses, inheritance was for the women. If we go to Islam, the Sharia law and other things also talk about. So it has to be our way of thinking. We should have a reorientation about how we see women in our traditional homes, not even a national policy. Okay. Because the laws are already set that will back on.
So these are more like gender-sensitive land reforms that we're talking about.
Exactly.
So over to Noella. Do you think that currently in Ghana, we have set, aside the spousal rights in the Land Act and all those other ones, are there actually such sensitive gender reforms that legislation is looking at? Do we have such things in the pipeline? Do you think it's something that we can work on as soon as possible? Because there are still gaps in these laws.
I think there's a bill that is has been there for some time now, Property Rights of Spouses Bill.
Okay.
You know, the Constitution mandates Parliament to come out with a law that will regulate property rights of spouses. And this bill has been there for some time. The key objectives of the bill is to ensure equitable distribution of marital property. You know, it recognizes non-monetary contributions. You know, I gave the scenario where women tend to put the money into the running of the home. The men focus their money in acquiring properties. Then when there's an issue, it's more like the man acquired the property solely. So this bill is supposed to address it. You know, it protects women's rights, uniformity, and it cuts across all types of marriages, whether customary law marriage, ordinance marriage. Once a property was deemed to have been acquired during the subsistence of the marriage, then there will be some provisions on it. But you know, we still get back to the same point where those that are pushing these laws are the males. So this bill has been in the system for a while, and I'm hoping that our males will start looking at reforms of this nature, not more like they against their wives
or they against women
or women, but more like securing the future of their daughters too. Because there are instances people come to you with legal issues with regards to properties, spousal property. Then you ask the basic question, you know, did you contribute to it? Yes. What do you have to show for it? Nothing. I was the one taking care of everything with regards to the house. And in fact, I had a particular case where the woman picked a loan to help in the acquisition of the property. When she picked the loan, in filling the loan form, she stated she was using it for school. Unfortunately, around that same period, she was in school studying for her master's.
Oh.
So when it was a case in court and she had to prove her contribution in acquiring the property, she said she took a loan. The loan document showed you took a loan at that time for school. Admission showed that you were in school. But in fact, she said she gave the money
to the husband. Women need to learn or to not care about being talked about when they assert their right as far as property acquisition and all of that is concerned, because it is because of that societal orientation that a woman must not own a property. And that is what made her lie on the loan form. And now it came back to affect her.
Yes. Yes. And,
Okay.
And then the Domestic Violence Act, people look at it more on with regards to physical abuse. But economic abuse also falls under domestic violence. So if there's any form of economic abuse that relates to land, that can also be asserted under the Domestic Violence Act. So there are really a lot of, what will I say, provisions that protects women's rights, but you need to know them and to be able to assess them. Yes.
Mr. Lee, can you share, I know that you said that it is a serious challenge in northern Ghana and some parts of Ghana. Can you at least recount one success story? Is there any success story where a woman has been able to, break through, particularly in your community, in your local state? Do you think a woman has been able to acquire land that has not been challenged?
Yeah, a lot of women has been able to acquire lands that has not been challenged.
Okay.
I know a lot of women.
So that's progress.
Yes, I know a lot of women that has gone beyond cultural boundaries. They do not care what the family will stand up against them, the name calling and everything. I can tell of two great women from the northern region that are doing so much farming. Initially, they have rights to the land, both traditional lands and commercial lands by themselves. A lot of farms, I've just forgotten the names of the farms they have in the northern region, but they've succeeded. And I think women has to stand up for themselves. Yeah. If we have to rely on men to stand up for us, that is going to take a long way. Because men will always want women to be
even in standing up for ourselves, we are facing a lot of challenges. So imagine if we are expecting them to do it for us.
Women have to seek honest transparency when it comes to their rights. Yeah. I said honest transparency when it comes to their rights. Not just honesty, but honest transparency when it comes to their rights in Ghana. I can talk of women that have even owned lands. When you talk of share nut, this Asontaba, share nuts and other things from Tamale. Women have owned lands that allow other women to go and pick share nuts, and out of it, women earn a living. Women do farming in northern region, both cash crops and even from yam to maize and other things from the north. Just like I mentioned, Swaziland, we can do better because our traditional leaders.
So that leads me to your next question.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to women, who want to assert, their rights, their land rights?
I think a lot of women don't know that there are even rights that protect them in acquisition of land. Yes. So the education has to reach down there. And even through our schools, I think our civil education is not doing that much now. The girl child should be taught their rights even from land. We just teach them on certain basic rights, but we don't include the property rights to them. So my advice to women groups, just like we are doing right now, women should be supported to support women. I'll call on for sponsors to sponsor what Aflag is doing here in Ghana, that should support you to reach out to these vulnerable women, teach them their rights.
You heard that. Sponsor Aflag so we can help more women, as I sitting here to discuss it. After here, you need to go to the field to actually help women. And that comes with finances. And we need your support in doing that.
So women need such great support, especially the rural women. Some wants to go into agriculture, but because of the intimidation by traditional rulers. So I will advise our traditional rulers, those that are watching, even our queen mothers are not standing up for the women.
That's what I was
our queen mothers,
they should do better,
they should do better. It's not just about wearing the kente and the fanfare in the programs. They can do better. Yeah. We hardly hear women, our queen mothers, speaking about land acquisition for other women, advocating for women. Even when the lands are being sold, the queen mothers are being neglected. They get peanuts out of
And they're okay with it.
And they are okay.
They don't speak up.
They feel like oba assassin or badia.
Or the koyedeng.
Or the koyedeng. But Yasantua, the likes of Yasantua, the likes of great women fought for this land that we are on. They fought for this land. Women contributed massively for the preservation of our land from foreign influences, from our colonial masters and other things. So women should have a fair share of land acquisition in Ghana.
Great. Lawyer Noella, what can you tell from those watching us today? What can you tell them that they can do as far as advocacy, okay, and pushing for land rights for women is concerned? What can they do? What would you tell them to do differently?
I always believe in us starting from our own corner, in our homes, in our communities. When you go to the law courts and you have issues with family land, it is sisters, it is brothers, it is fathers, uncles that are the ones that are discriminating against women, discriminating against daughters. So let's all start from our homes. There are land issues that are involving women in the house, and people are being denied just for the basis that they are women. So let's start from our homes. When you know that the woman accessing the land or owning the land will open doors for such a woman, do not prevent it. Our communities, our traditional leaders, let's start from there. Even before it gets to the court level, we have land secretariats at various communities that deal with land ownership, issues that women are being discriminated against. Let's start from there. Ensure that if the woman has a right to that land, you should allow the woman to use the land. We also want to let people, educate the people around them. There are ADR centers that you can go to if you have grievances. You are being discriminated against when it comes to land. You can go to these ADR centers. Legal aid officers are there. You can go there and seek advice as to what steps you can do. District offices are in all districts. Most communities have district courts. So you go to the district courts, you narrate whatever issue you have with regards to land. So there's no excuse that you don't know. If you have an issue, you want to have access to land, you think you have an interest in land and you are being discriminated against because you are a woman, go to the nearest legal aid office, go to the nearest district court, speak with the registrar, go to the nearest land secretariat and make your complaint known, and you will get the needed support. Come to Aflag. There are a lot of organizations, Aflag, LRC. I've done a lot of land cases for Aflag. Women go to Aflag, they have land cases, and they refer to us. We did some on pro bono basis. So there are organizations that are looking
thank you to our pro bono lawyers. She's part of our pro bono lawyers.
There are organizations that are looking out to helping women, to empower you, to help you to assert your rights, economic rights, land rights. So speak up if you are being discriminated against and you get a needed support.
I want to thank you very much for joining me today to discuss it. But as you can all see, and from this discussion, land ownership is not just about property. It's about dignity. It's about security. And it's about economic independence for women, for the nation. At the long run, empowering a woman is not just empowering an individual, but you are empowering a whole generation and a whole nation. So yes, we need to do more to ensure that these cultural and social barriers we have as far as land acquisition or land ownership for women is taken out of the way, and women can own land, not just in the urban areas, but also in the rural areas. A special thank you once again, and it's a pleasure having you join me. Until next time, stay safe. When you acquire property with your spouse, ensure that your name is on it. Do not be afraid. Ensure to assert your rights as far as property acquisition is concerned. You've worked for it, you've earned it, and you deserve it. Until next time, stay blessed and see you. Have a good evening. Bye.
This show is brought to you by Aflag, Praise TV, and Oriental Resort Hotel.